As you go about your daily life, have you ever stopped to consider the possibility that everything you see, everything you touch, and even everything you feel could be nothing more than a carefully crafted simulation? It's a mind-bending idea, but one that has been proposed by some of the greatest minds in history. In this video, we'll take a deep dive into the concept of simulation theory and explore the astonishing implications it has for our understanding of the world around us. From the mysteries of quantum physics to the inner workings of the human mind, no topic is off limits as we search for answers to the ultimate question: are we living in a computer-generated reality? What is reality? This is a question that has puzzled people for centuries, with theories ranging from the scientific to the mystical. At face value, reality seems simple. It is anything that we can perceive using our five senses. However, some unconventional thinkers believe that there might be more to it than that. Philosophers and physicists have proposed that reality could be an ultra-high-tech computer simulation in which we experience all aspects of life: living, working, laughing, and loving. While this idea may seem far-fetched, it raises interesting questions about the nature of our existence and the true nature of the world around us. Simulation theory is the idea that the universe as we know it may be a simulated reality created and overseen by a higher form of intelligence. The concept has been discussed and debated by philosophers and scientists since the Enlightenment, but there is no conclusive evidence to support it or refute it. In other words, simulation theory suggests that our reality may be akin to a computer program or video game, with the events and experiences we have being artificially generated rather than occurring naturally. Proponents of the theory argue that it could help to explain certain mysteries of the universe, such as the fundamental nature of matter and the apparent lack of objective truth. However, others argue that it is merely a philosophical thought experiment with no scientific basis. Simulation theory can be traced back to the works of ancient philosophers like Plato and more recent philosophers like René Descartes. These thinkers have also grappled with ideas about perception and the nature of being, which are central to the concept of simulation theory. Even today, these subjects continue to fascinate and challenge us. This theory was popularized by Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom, who argued in a 2003 paper that it is more probable than one might initially think. Bostrom suggested that in the future, advanced computers may be able to run detailed simulations of their ancestors, known as ancestor simulations, which would contain beings with artificial consciousness. If this is the case, it is possible that the majority of minds like ours may be simulated rather than belonging to the original biological race. Other philosophers, such as David Chalmers, have expanded on this idea by suggesting that the being responsible for the potential simulation could be considered a higher power or godlike figure. However, it is worth noting that this being may not necessarily be traditional in its understanding of a god. The theory also builds upon the long-standing philosophical debate about the nature of reality and whether or not we can truly know what is real. Some argue that the findings of quantum physics may call into question the existence of a material universe. Simply because we perceive the world as real and material doesn't mean that it is so, said tech entrepreneur Rizwan Verk. The more that scientists look for the material in the material world, the more they find that it doesn't exist. The concept of simulation theory is based on the idea that everything in the universe is essentially information. This idea was proposed by physicist John Wheeler, who stated that everything is based on information. In fact, even the definition of a particle in physics is somewhat ambiguous and may be thought of as a quantum computing bit or qubit. The idea that our reality may be a simulated one has been proposed by several individuals, including tech entrepreneur Elon Musk. Musk has famously stated that the chances that we are not living in a simulation are 1 in billions. To Musk, the strongest argument for the possibility of a simulated reality is the rapid progress that has been made in the field of gaming. In the past 40 years, games have advanced from simple 2D rectangles to photorealistic 3D simulations that are played by millions of people simultaneously. As technology continues to improve, it's possible that these simulations will become indistinguishable from reality. But how would simulated reality be experienced? Simulated reality, as depicted in The Matrix, is a digital world in which humans are unaware they are living in a simulated world. In the film, humans are unknowingly plugged into the simulation through cables that send signals to their brains and read their reactions. In reality, producing conscious AI, or tricking our consciousness into thinking we are in a reality, could be achieved through a greater understanding of human consciousness and how it works. Quantum computing may also play a role in advancing artificial intelligence in simulated environments. Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom has argued that if humans are able to reach a post-human state with advanced technological capabilities, they would likely be able to run ancestor simulations. This type of simulation would require a significant amount of computing power to track the detailed beliefs and states of all human brains at all times. There are still barriers to achieving full-blown simulation, including the development of brain-computer interfaces, which allow for technology to be controlled directly through brainwaves. However, these technologies do not yet exist. Astronomer Martin Rees has described simulation theory as a bit flaky but a fascinating idea. In an interview with Space.com, he posed the question of what the limits of computing power are, or if there are any limits at all. He pointed out that current supercomputers can already run a variety of real-world simulations, and it's possible that even more advanced simulations could be run in the future as processing power improves. Cosmologist Paul Davies has also explored the concept of simulation theory in depth. In a 2003 article for The Guardian, he described how a universal computing machine could create an artificial world that is capable of simulating its own world, and so on indefinitely. This could lead to an infinite tower of virtual multiverses, meaning that the real multiverse could be swamped in a sea of fake ones. Preston Green, a philosophy professor at Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, has suggested that we could be living in a simulation right now. However, he warns that proving this would be catastrophic. He explains that if experiments were conducted to prove that we live in a simulation and this had a significant impact on society, the simulation would no longer be useful for answering questions about the foundational level of reality, which contains the computers running the simulations. Green believes that simulation shutdown is a possibility that should be taken seriously, based on observed trends in simulation science. Not everyone in the scientific community agrees with the theory of simulated reality. But why is simulation theory important? The goal of science is to seek the truth, and simulation theory is no different. If it is true that we are living inside a virtual world, it will be useful to know in order to increase our chances of survival and success within it. Knowing the nature of our reality could make all the difference in the world. As you can see, the idea of living in a simulated reality raises a lot of intriguing questions and possibilities. But the big question remains, are we living in a simulation or not? Share your views with us in the comments. We'd love to read them. If you found this video informative and enjoyed the content, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the like button as well. We'd really appreciate the gesture. Thank you for watching.